Hey, good Thursday morning, and thanks for logging on to BAMWX.com. Meteorologist Michael Clark here with your Thursday long-range forecast update. Real quick, we do have our official winter weather outlook scheduled for Tuesday, November 28th at 7 p.m. There are only 500 seats available in the webinar, and we've already got around 20, and we just posted it. It will fill up very quickly. If you want to get in on it, BAMWX.com/webinar or email us to get signed up. Highly recommend you get in on that for sure. Real quick check on the rain in the short term. The pattern remains very La Nina-like. In fact, the CPC actually just issued a La Nina advisory about 20 minutes ago. So we are in an official La Nina advisory. We will be in a declared La Nina by December, if you ask me. We already are in La Nina, if you ask us, but we're not NOAA, so whatever. Here is a 10-day rainfall forecast from the GFS. Again, you know, you recall our November outlook. This is exactly where we had the heavy rainfall, and that's where it's been. That's where it's going to continue to be. The 1 to 5 day pattern, you see this big ridge here, quote-unquote ridge over the U.S. You would think, boy, that could translate to some warmth. And the way that this is set up, it really doesn't, because we're so cold in Canada and there's so much snow that any kind of some kind of hybrid cross-polar flow, it's not a true cross-polar, but you're getting very cold air to kind of flow up over the top of this ridge. And we're going to have wind chills here Friday and Saturday in the Ohio Valley that are in the teens. And it's November 9th. So this is a rare air for this time of year. It is going to be 8 to 15 degrees below the normal. All right, so going forward in the 6 to 10 day, there's something I wanted to talk to you guys about. And kind of give you a little bit of a hint of some things that may play into winter. The first thing I want to show you is the 6 to 10 day pattern. We notice this expanding ridge here heading basically poleward up towards the pole. And this is basically what we call thermal expansion or a heat flux in this ridge. And it will start to nudge at the coldest air on the planet, what we call the polar vortex. And it is going to nudge it in a favorable direction towards the North American continent versus Russia or Siberia or the other side of the planet. And it's really going to be interesting because when you stack the coldest air of the planet up over the Hudson Bay, you're going to start allowing it to freeze quicker and become ice covered. And that plays a significant role overall in a unique pattern that has been around here a couple of times in the 2000s. First, what I want to point your attention to is last year the polar vortex or the 10 millibar anomaly had really the warmest air on the planet, really right over the poles and just over Greenland and the northern Hudson Bay. And then it had a little bit of a weaker vortex here across the North Atlantic. So no blocking was possible last year. It just wasn't on the cards here. And then you go and you look at this year and look at what the European forecast has for 10 millibar heights here by November 23rd, by Thanksgiving, putting the polar vortex over the Hudson Bay. So what's happening is the Hudson Bay is icing up very quickly. It's becoming ice covered. In fact, it's the most ice covered it's been since back in the mid to late 90s. And when you look at analog years where that ice cover is similar, you have years like 07, 08, 09 and 10, 13 and 14, and 14 and 15. And what this does is this breeds this T&H pattern where you have a very big area of high pressure or a block that can develop. And what it will do is nudge the cold air south into the United States. And you see the core of the coldest air here really around the central plains in the Midwest in those winters running 4 to 5 degrees below normal. So the snow cover is continuing to expand and the ice cover is expanding in the Hudson Bay. And that's going to be another key factor to this winter. And when you go and you look at this 11 to 15 day forecast, I mean, look at all the blocking in the top cluster. I mean, this is a remarkable level of high latitude blocking. Your negative QBO influenced here, your low solar influenced here, the fact that this is an east-based La Nina, which meteorologist Nathan Kitchens will have a blog on that today on updated analogs for the east-based La Nina and what that means. Definitely be sure and check that out. But things are really coming together for Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Northeast, blockbuster winter possible on the table here. If this kind of pattern keeps up, it's really going to be something to watch for sure. All right. Continuous troughs off the coast of East Asia. Continuing to see these big troughs coming off the coast here, and it correlates to these dates for cold and for cold fronts. All right, but there is intermittent warmth in between, like we talked about yesterday. For the time being, I think until we get out of November, there's still a couple of warm days in there. Our overall forecast for week 1 and 2 in the temperature department, week 1 obviously very cold, very high heating demand as well. And then in week 2, you know, I cooled it today to show not colder anomalies over the Great Lakes in the Northeast and the East Coast, thanks to all the blocking. The ridging back here to the south and west, again, should make sense to you based on what I showed yesterday, and I will touch on that again. Something else that is also influencing this pattern is we do have some phase 5 action out of the MJO from the EPS data. So the European weeklies, they initiate off of the 0Z European model data. With a phase 5 MJO in the initiation of the European weekly, I anticipate a very cold run of the weeklies tonight. So those will come out around 5 o'clock, and we'll share those, but anticipate December may really come in like a lion here. All right, but you see the phase 5 correlation, the ridge down here and the trough up here, and all the high latitude blocking. So confidence is high there. We're still anticipating the SOI drop, which again correlates to a big storm at the end of November, 25th through the 30th. All right, here's the La Nina SOI drop correlation. Big trough here, big ridge down in the southwest, ridge in the Bering Sea. So again, you know, typically when we see these big ridges in the Bering Sea, we think, okay, there's going to be heat later. Well, yesterday we related that to the March pattern. Here on the right is the March pattern, big ridge, trough into the east. All right, but look at this, the same pattern. It's the same pattern right now as March of 17. You can even see it right here. Here's March of 17. Here's the current pattern. Ridge, ridge. All right, see the trough in here, big ridge here. You see how it's the same pattern? That means here's what happened in March of 17. The heat was focused west and southwest. Here's the latest 15-day forecast. Look at this from the European. I just posted this, or just updated this. Very similar look of cold in the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, in the east, even in the northern plains. So you're really going to up the demand here, and the energy demand. I think, what are we thinking, Ed? 560 on gas-weighted? Yeah, give or take, you know, 560 gas-weighted heating degree days. So, you know, well above the normal here, possibly to end the month. The analogs in the 16 to 30-day time frame both also support the ridge back west and the trough in the east. Okay, and then just real quick, you know, touching on those east-based La Nina years, because we did have a La Nina watch issued from the CPC. You can see these analog years resemble the pattern right now. You can see the resemblance in the analogs and in the pattern. I mean, this is a forecast model on the left, and this is a analog on the right. All right, so I mean, you know, you can't argue that. And then you even see the forecast in the JMA looking very similar to that. Overall, this is the sea surface temperature pattern right now. I mean, we are largely just basing this an east-based La Nina, and those analogs favor a very cold winter. So the average snowfall here with that in Indianapolis, just to give you an idea, ranges around 25 inches in just a couple of months, which is above normal. So that's all I have for today. Certainly continuing to see the signals towards a colder winter. Updated 3- and 4-week and December outlooks tomorrow. If you have any questions, let us know.